Hello everyone, welcome to Electrifying Economics. I'm Anisha, and in today's video we're going to be talking about households. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. As mentioned just now, let's get into it. It's very simple and easy, nothing very complicated here. It's just basic knowledge in order to progress in other topics of economics. So what are household? Just a definition, is just a group of people that live together, share resources like a house, food, etc., and pool at least some of their income for collective use. For instance, if a mom and dad are working and both of them use some of their income together in order to be able to finance for their children's education or the rent of the house, etc. Income tax. Income tax is a form of direct tax. Direct taxes are the taxes that are directly taken from the consumers by the government. So the money that each individual earns is taxed by the government for various reasons. Example, for infrastructure, for welfare benefits, like in order to help the poorly, unemployment benefits, etc. And the money left behind after direct tax, etc., are deducted is called disposable income. Now, the disposable income is used by the household. So what do? They spend, save, and borrow. This is very easy, simple. It's straightforward spending for goods and services like houses, food, table, chair, furniture, anything and everything. They save for the future in case of an emergency, for example, for retirement planning, or for the futures, like their children's future education, etc. And they borrow if your home doesn't have enough money, then you borrow from banks and to take a loan, and then you pay back later, in a fixed period of time. So like banks have like a 5-year loan, 10-year loan, 30-year loan, etc. So the loan later has to be paid back in the fixed time period with an interest rate. So interest rate is just that. And so suppose you take $1,000 from the bank and you are at a certain interest rate. Suppose you're in a 10% interest rate. So, and you are in a 1-year loan time. So that would mean you have to pay back $100. We'll just take it simple. This is not math. It's just like knowledge. It's just an example. So the real income is very important as well. So real income is the income level that takes inflation into account. So inflation is the rise in the price levels in a certain period of time, usually a year. So the price levels is not like, oh, if this thing was 100 baht and the next year is 150 baht. It's not always because of inflation. There are other factors as well, but currently that's not what we're learning. What we are learning is, so it's just like an average increase in price level. And that is what inflation is. If all the goods and services have generally overall, the prices of goods and services have increased, then that means the economy is going through an inflation. So inflation is important for households, because if a company says to a worker that like all workers get like a 5% pay rise, then they would think that, oh yes, we're going to have better living standards, we're going to be better off, we're going to be rich, blah, blah, blah. But if the inflation is 7%, then it's not actually true, because you would have a negative 2% less income to survive, because everything else is more expensive to buy, and hence you would have to pay more of your 5% rise income for a phone that last year cost less to you. I hope that makes sense. An income rise is actually an income rise if it matches with the inflation level in the economy. And lastly, what are the factors affecting spending, saving, and borrowing? Pretty straightforward. Income level, if you have high income, you would spend more. You would save more if you have left money. Like after everything, you're like, oh, I don't have nothing else to do, so you're just gonna save it. And you would less borrow because you don't need money to finance your things. Unless you want to invest in buying a house, etc., then maybe you might borrow, but that's a different scenario. Consumer confidence is also so consumer confidence is basically the outlook consumers have towards the economy. If they think that, oh, the economy is generally doing good and they are doing good, so they would spend more, they would invest in bonds, stock market, etc. But if consumer confidence is low, then they would not invest, because like they would not even spend in normal goods. They would just like spend very little, just like basic necessities and not luxuries. And spending, if consumer confidence is low, saving will be high because you're unsure about the future. And borrowing with low consumer confidence is low because you are unsure if you'll be able to pay back the money in the future. Wealth and income are not the same. Wealth are basically the assets that you hold, or like that each household holds. If you have 10 houses and all of them are in rent, then you are having a lot of wealth, and hence you are confident that you can convert that wealth into money because you will get rent and hence you will spend more. Wealth, there are other types of wealth as well. Houses is just an example. So you would be able to convert wealth into money. In this case, rent from houses. And so with higher wealth, you will spend more and you would borrow less because you don't need. And for saving, it depends from time to time. Okay, household type basically means like if there are 3 children in the family, then you probably spend more, and you can save less because you have to distribute the income across a lot of people. But if like it's generally just elder people, like 70-60-year-old people, then they would probably spend less. They would just spend on necessities and not on luxuries because they're relying on their savings from their past, like the pensions. And culture, basically saying if in general your culture provokes spending, or if you are more of like a saving family. So that depends. Hence, if you're more spending, then you would spend more. If your culture is more towards spending, certain countries are more towards spending more, and certain countries are more towards saving more. Tax levels, it's obvious. If you're taxed less, you will spend more. If you're taxed more, then you will be able to spend less. It's pretty obvious. And availability of saving schemes. So this is basically like if your area or country has institutions that will help you save, certain like packages that have like, oh, if you save this much, you will get 10% interest or 30% interest, etc. Oh, another, interest rates are very important. The level of interest really is important, because if the interest rate of example the bank is very high, then you would save more and spend less because you won't be bothered. Because how I said interest rate is the reward of saving. It's the cost on borrowing. So if the interest rate is high, you would save more and borrow less, because by saving you get more money back, and by borrowing you need to pay more money. And if the interest rate is low, you would save less and borrow more, because by borrowing you don't have to pay back a lot more. And availability of credit schemes is basically with the borrowing. If you are able to borrow more, if you are able to easily borrow with like credit cards, etc., then you would tend to borrow more. Alright people, that's about it for this video. I hope it was helpful and I hope I made sense. A little life update. I just graduated from high school and yeah, I'm very grateful for that. I just graduated and I wasn't active. I probably will try to be active, but I doubt because I'm going to travel soon, but I'll be active as and when I can. Thank you. And also, if you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Electrifying Economics. It would mean so much to me. Bye bye. See you next time. Until then, happy economics.